Hello and welcome. In this video we are about to see the basic operation of OMR Answer Sheet Checker software. The Answer Sheet Checker is one of the modules of the OMR software. As we know that OMR is not only used for test checking purposes. It is used for several other purposes like reading and analysis of feedback and survey forms, data extraction from application forms, attendance sheets, ballot sheets used in elections, and many other special purpose forms. But the MCQ test scoring is one of the most common uses of OMR sheet reader software. So for the convenience of the user and to keep the operation simple, we have divided the OMR functionality into different modules. First, the OMR Answer Sheet Checker. Second, the OMR Survey and Form Reader. And third, the Question Bank module or the Question Paper Generator module. The Question Bank module has nothing to do with the black bubble reading process. But we have included this module in the OMR software for scoring their answer sheets. Simply because mostly the users who need OMR software also prefer to use the Question Bank software for creating their question papers. In this video, we shall focus on the basic operation of the OMR Answer Sheet Checker module. There are two steps in the test setup process. First, defining the test, as in giving a title to the test, and specifying whether it is a test divided into multiple sections and which sheet design will be used to answer this test. Second, entering the correct answer key and setting up the scoring scheme for different sections and questions, etc. So here we begin with the MCQ Define Test interface. It is simple. Enter a test name. It is not mandatory to enter a test number. If you want some specific number, it's okay to enter. Otherwise, the system will allocate the next number in sequence. It is also not mandatory to select a date. By default, the system will take current date. The date is only used for convenient ordering in the list. Select the sheet that you want to use. Next, we must specify how many sections the test is divided into. As for example, we have a 30-question class test, and there are 10 questions each in physics, chemistry, and mathematics. So this is how we will do it. It is important to note that this time I have a 30-question combined test. So I have selected a 30-question OMR sheet layout. But the next test is of one subject, physics, with only 10 questions. Then I do not need a separate 10-question layout for that test. I can use the same 30-question layout while I am defining test of only 10 questions. This indicates that the software will heed only to the defined number of questions and ignore the remaining 20 questions on the sheet. This allows you to minimize your inventory by using one OMR template with a more number of questions in tests of various lengths. Having entered all this, just save the test. A saved test appears in the list on the right. This is all we need to know about the Define Test interface. We now move on to Set Answer Key. The next step of test setup process, where we will enter the correct answer key for comparison and set up the scoring scheme for different sections and questions. On this interface, it is simpler. Just select the test and enter the key. You can always punch in the key using the keyboard. You can also copy and paste the key from Word or Excel files. So you see how the multiple answers have been entered here. We also see how the answers for the numeric response or integer response questions have been entered. These questions are likely to have more than one answers which are entered separated by the pipe symbol. Similarly, the matrix matching questions also have a different way of entering the answer key. Or else, if you prefer, you can extract the answer key from a correctly filled OMR sheet. How to get values from a filled OMR? We are going to see in the coming steps. Once the key is entered, we will need to set up the scoring criteria and the scoring scheme for the questions. We will see how to create the scoring scheme for the first time when you need them. Once created, these schemes will stay in your library for future use. We have the flexibility to apply different scoring schemes for different questions or different sections of the test. Suppose our class test, which has different types of questions in different sections, some of which are simple MCQ with single correct choice. Some are MCQs with more than one correct choice, and some are numeric or integer response type, and yet other is the matrix matching type question. We will apply our different score schemes to these questions one by one. Or we can apply score schemes to multiple questions from score mapping panel. The setting up of the answer key and hence the setup is complete now. You can see a few more buttons here. But to keep our understanding simple, in this video we are confining to our basic process of test evaluation and will not be getting into extra features. The subsection map button opens an interface where you can map your questions to different subsections or topics. Question linking is used in tests where the scoring of one question depends on the scoring of the other. For example, question 17 will be evaluated only if question 3 is correct. These types of linked questions are usually asked in the tests where concept learning is being evaluated. Another button that you see is the option weights button. On this interface you set different weights or scores for different choices within a question. These type of questions are usually asked in psychometric tests or feedback and survey questionnaires. The Copy Test button on the Answer Key Setup interface also allows you to create more sets of the same test. We have not shown you these interfaces to avoid confusion, as these steps are not required for most of the tests. We have seen how to set up a test. Now we are going to see how we will read the scanned images of our answer sheets and get the desired results. First, we go to the Read Sheet interface. Select the sheets. Select the test. The current selected sheet will be visible at the bottom while reading. The interface displays the sheet reading progress by numbers and progress bars. Now we shall press the Read Sheet button. And the software has finished reading these sheets within a few seconds. We are now ready to move on to the next interface where we get our results. But before we leave this interface, let's have a look at some of the extra features. There is provision to pre-process the images before you start reading them. The image pre-process is extremely useful in case of defective scanning. It allows you to rename your scanned images, resize the images and convert image formats, and many more adjustments after you have done the scanning. There are several settings which give you complete control over the reading process. You can pause the video and have a look at these. More details about these settings and preferences have been covered in the product support videos. These are not all the settings. There are many more settings done at various stages, right from the time of sheet design to time of generating result outputs. What we have just seen are only the read time settings. More settings related to sheet design and properties are covered in the sheet design video. Settings related to output generation will be shown in the next videos. Coming back to the reading screen. There are 3 modes of reading. Auto mode, which is the fastest. It reads quickly and simply skips a defective image and moves to next. Auto mode is best used in case of high volumes. The second mode is the alert mode, where the software shows prompts in case of faulty image or wrongly filled ID or improperly filled bubbles. For example, if it finds a duplicate sheet, it will prompt something like this. So the operator can correct the student ID by looking at the original sheet, which is also shown on screen for reference. Smaller projects up to a few hundred sheets are best executed on the alert mode. While in case of high-volume projects, first the sheets are read on auto mode so that maximum load is finished without human intervention. Later the issue-tagged sheets are resolved on alert mode. The sheets are always read with 100% accuracy as per the settings and defined policy. If any sheet has some likely deviation, it will be duly notified in the reading log. Some of the sheets with issues will be sorted out categorically with proper reason, which can be selectively resolved. If it finds a question with multiple marks or a partially filled cell, then depending upon the settings, it will show the data for verification like this. The data here can be changed if required. The third manual mode is rarely used, only when you need to see each sheet for some specific condition and want to validate data at the read time. Again, to remind, we are just talking about the features on this interface. However, for our class test, we did not need to get into these details. Most of the sheets, scans and tests are okay to read on the default settings. So we have already finished reading our class test. Next, we move on to the interface to view results. Now we are on the result processing and reporting interface of the OMR software. Different users will require different types of outputs. Some will appreciate ready-to-print well-formatted reports, while others will be keen for getting the data in Excel or other formats so that they can prepare their own reports. Some users also prefer to directly import the data into their ERP database for further use. There can be various types of outputs like raw data, processed data, and printable reports, shareable PDFs, results sent on SMS or email, and online results on website, etc. OMR software caters to all such needs. So to draw out our basic merit list for the class test that we just evaluated, we will select the test and press the Calculate button just once to do a one-time comparison and scoring of the student responses based on the correct answer key. Now the results are all calculated and ready to be presented in various formats. Select the report type. Click on the Generate button. Since you took a test of 30 questions with 10 questions in 3 sections, we have selected a 3-section output format. And here we have our report. Note that the OMR sheet only had the roll number block. No names were read from the OMR sheet. Still, the report is displaying student names. It is because there is provision to import student names into the software. Once the names have been imported, they will always be used to match the roll number and display in the reports. Getting back to the report, if we look to the extreme right, there are 2 types of ranks. One rank within the class if the test had multiple classes, and the second rank is in the overall test, including all classes. Now, if sometimes we want to draw a consolidated report of all sections put together, Then we can select another report type to get the desired layout. It is also possible to draw out reports for a single class. If multiple classes have participated in the test, the system allows reporting of multiple tests combined. Also, if two tests form a single test, it is possible to draw combined reports depicting scores of both the tests. Several data outputs can be exported to Excel or CSV or various other formats. We will have a quick look at them one by one. The student responses to questions in the test. Data of single test in Excel. Data of single test in Excel in more detailed format. Combine Excel data of more than one tests. Summarized Excel data of more than one tests. Subsection-wise score lists showing breakdown of scores of the subsections within a subject. The basic reports can be drawn out from this interface. However, there are many more detailed graphical, analytical and statistical reports which are used to grade students' performance and test reliability. This is a glimpse of the student performance report which analyses each section in detail. And this is the comparison graph of two classes participating in the same test. The following report is the question paper analysis report that is used to analyze the reliability of a test. These reports involve heavier data handling and processing, so can be achieved with the help of some additional modules.